Hey, what is going on YouTube? Mike here with another video. And now a bit of context for this one. It's been a while since I've used a proper Samsung flagship smartphone. In fact, the last flagship that I remember using from Samsung was the Galaxy S9. And while we've covered some other Samsung phones on this channel since then, I've never really used them as daily drivers beyond the review period for those videos. And I've always went back to using my Google Pixel phones as my go-to devices. Sometimes I get the feeling that the Pixel line has been a bit stale for me, at least as far as user experience goes, but that all changes with the Galaxy S25. So yeah, here are some quick thoughts about switching over to the Samsung side of things. Let's get started. I've used a lot of different Pixel devices, and the most recent one that I've been daily driving was the Google Pixel 7a. Now, switching over to the Samsung Galaxy S25, one of the biggest highlights of this phone is the premium design. It does come with a really sleek looking chassis. It's obviously not as thin as the S25 Edge, but on its own, the Galaxy S25 comes with a premium look and feel, and it does pack some extremely slim bezels, which make it really ideal for one-handed use. Now, don't get me wrong, the Pixel 9 series also featured slim bezels, but yeah, in general, the S25 does look really good as far as Android smartphones go. Now, moving over to the software side of things, there's obviously a lot more going on with One UI, especially when you compare it to the Pixel experience. By comparison, that one is a lot leaner and cleaner. But despite this, I do think that One UI, at least when compared to other Android skins, is a lot more refined and a lot more coherent. Of course, it could just be me, but so far this has been my impression returning to One UI. And of course, it's great for customization as well. You also get Samsung themes, so you can change up pretty much the entire look of your interface, something that you don't really get on Pixel phones. Those are customizable as well, but on a more limited level. And going beyond this, obviously the biggest highlight of the Galaxy S25 and the rest of the S25 series in general is the Snapdragon 8 Elite. So it's pretty much the best Android smartphone chip right now. A ton of other flagships use it. It's got terrific performance, whether in real world usage or in benchmark tests. And sure, you can probably say that there's not much of a difference when compared to Tensor chips in terms of overall smoothness when navigating through the UI and going through your everyday apps. And you can even go so far as to say that the Tensor handles games pretty well. But moving over to the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip on here, I've gotten considerably less heating, less battery drain. And again, from a performance standpoint, you'll see a considerable difference between Google's approach to silicon and what Qualcomm offers. Now, Pixel phones are among some of the best devices that you can get for point-and-shoot photography on smartphones. As I mentioned before, it's one of the biggest reasons why I used them for so long, and I've heard mixed reactions about the cameras on the Galaxy S25, but so far in my experience using them, the cameras on this phone are surprisingly good for point-and-shoot photography. Perhaps my biggest priorities would be the skin tones, dynamic range, and of course low light performance, for example. And the S25 more or less manages to get a lot of these right. If you're like me and are just a casual mobile photographer, I like to think that the S25's cameras are capable enough. Video quality is also terrific on this phone. The video output on the Pixel 9 series has seen a big improvement, but I've always appreciated the video quality in Samsung phones. So far I've gotten great looking video on here, and yeah, it's been a pretty great device to use in general. Another thing I like about this phone is that Samsung has really stepped up its update support. So I've already gotten the One UI 7 update. I've also gotten the June security patch. And yeah, comparing it to my experience with the Galaxy S9 from before and even the S21 FE, which I used a bit in 2022, I really like Samsung's new and more timely approach when it comes to software updates. You're also getting a lot of the new Android features, such as Circle to Search, access to Google Gemini, and yeah, I know that there's been some delays with One UI 7, especially with the global release, but overall, Samsung has really caught up to Google in terms of software support. Now, like I say on a lot of other videos here on the channel, this is not a perfect smartphone. Obviously, some Pixel features are missing on here. I do miss the call screening feature that is really useful on my Pixel phones. It's not going to be on the Galaxy S25. The more accurate assistant voice typing is not available on here. Google's voice recorder, which really excels in terms of speech-to-text transcription, is not available on the Galaxy S25. So it's factors like these that you have to keep in mind especially if you're thinking of switching over. And finally, one consideration I do have about this phone is the battery endurance. Now it does come with a 4000 mAh battery, which is a bit smaller than what you get on most other Pixel phones. And while the Snapdragon 8 Elite does improve the standby times and the real-time consumption of the battery on the S25, I found that battery life so far is a bit similar to what I've gotten on the Pixel 9, which is around 5 to 6 hours of SOT, although I've only had this phone for about a week, so I'm still waiting for the adaptive battery to kick in. But I'm not getting battery anxiety on here like I do with some of my Pixel phones, so make of that what you will. So coming from a Pixel smartphone, there are a lot of differences between the two approaches to Android that we've seen on here. And yeah, let me know your thoughts about the Galaxy S25 in the comments below. Do you use one or do you use a Pixel phone instead? Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.